When you saw the videotape at my house of yourself at that time, you didn't want to look at it?
No.
How did you feel when you looked at that child?
Well, you see, I'm more mature now. And I have, more discipline in my life. And I see a little, a wild kid that was there that, that's changed and mellowed out over the course of the years.
They tried to take over one of my division, but they didn't quite make it, and we killed 2 of their guys. They tried to burn down my clubhouse. We killed 2 of their guys. And 5 of their guys rolled up on one of the Savage Nomads. You know what they told them? Oh, we're going to give you hell, baby. We're going to give you hell. And they didn't even kill him.
Back then, I had left my home. I was gone from my house for a couple of years. I was running in the streets. We made a family, all right, to substitute for what every one of us had left. We weren't accepted. We used to blow people's minds, you know what I'm saying, with the stuff we used to do because we knew that we weren't accepted.
I'm Benji. They call me Black Benji.
Benji, man.
Black Benji, president of Savage Nomads. Yeah.
Yeah, where do you come from?
St. Thomas.
All over.
How long have you been here?
For about 16 years.
Are the Savage Nomads a tough gang?
Very so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
How about you? What's your name?
Blackie.
Blackie? And what's the name of your guys?
Savage Gold.
Savage Skulls. Any of the guys belong to both groups?
Nah, we're just 2 different cliques. We're the same. It's one clique, but 2 different names.
Do you help each other out?
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, we went to go down against these bachelors, and they didn't show up, so we had to go down their way. And like, they still didn't show up. They was hiding out, they was scared. It's the regular punk thing, after we came back, the cops tried to bust a couple of the guys, but then we all stuck up, we threw a couple of gas bombs at them just to make it look good, and so they started panicking and whatnot, so they let the guys go. And so then Blackie went up to them he had a gun on him. They didn't want to serve. They knew he was packing the pieces, big old 38 Magnum sticking out.
Like, they want to make it a racial problem, So we didn't want that, So I jumped in. I put in for my boy because he's a black brother, So we made an unracial problem. Everything came down, man.
In these neighborhoods, in fact, like where we are now, there was always groups that protected their community. It was very territorial. The Savage Skulls lived in this area. The Ghetto Brothers lived in this area. Just sprouted up as a sort of like a defense for the particular communities.
Suppose like we go into a room, but right, we clean though, because we have somebody else packing. But about 5 of us are standing around the corner, right? They arrest us for unlawful assembly because they know something's getting ready to jump off. So like, they just arrest us to try to avoid the shit, right? So now suppose you with your family, you got 10 people in your family, right? I got 9 in my family. Suppose we stand on the corner, you should arrest them too. But nah, why should they just picking on us and shit? They must not like us.
Why do you think they don't like you?
Because we flying cut sleeves.
Is that what you call colors now? Cut sleeves?
No, I mean, like, if they see anybody with cut sleeves, he's in a gang, he's in a club, he's this, he's a menace to society and shit.
So I thought about it. I was talking to my son the other night, and he was saying Ben was always like family. And I said to you the other night, how long was it that we didn't see each other? 1973?
February 73.
February.
Until
October?
Yeah.
1989. What did we mean to you? 16 years ago, you were a child. How did you perceive us?
You accepted us. You gave us a lot of things that we didn't, what I'm saying? What we left the house that, you know what I'm saying? What we didn't have there. You gave
What did we give you? What?
acceptance, love, you know, trust, goals, Manny, you know, as a teacher, yourself as a teacher, you came up to the Bronx, trusted us, you gave us your hope.
My first teaching job in New York City was in the South Bronx. I took the subway and later the L to the Bronx, and I walked down the deep stairs into the most devastated community I'd ever seen in my life. I got a note from a parent asking me to excuse an absence because the child had no shoes. There were constant fires in the community. Whenever I asked children to paint pictures of their block, there was always a fire engine, a building burning down. There were always garbage cans with people standing around them, warming their hands over the fires. I began to make the tapes in 1969 because I realized nobody knew anything about the home lives of the children they were teaching. So I thought that because I had the ability to get close to people, and because I was close to some of the kids who were out in the streets, that I would be able to explain to teachers why the educational system failed to meet the needs of certain more independent and very bright students.
You married?
No,
You go to school?
no,
You got a good education?
yes.
How?
So what grade did you finish?
I went up to the 9th grade.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good.
But I bet you, my level, my IQ is higher than all three of y'all put
Yeah?
together.
Okay.
Why did I quit
Why
school? I got locked up, right? And after I came out, I tried to get back into school, you know? And so they said, all right, I went into Morris. They said, okay, you gotta shut up. It was night school. I was working, excuse me.
Let him finish talking.
I was working at the time, so I had to go to night school. See, I made an effort on my part. And so I tried to go back to school and shit, but they said I had to get my old day school record. So when I went back to Clinton, I was lying down on the staircase outside of Clinton on the main entrance because it was real hot on the inside. And so then the school cop came out. He took me inside and tried to arrest me. And so I had to try to explain to him, but he didn't want to listen. So then when I asked the dean knew that I had a purpose of being there, but the cop called him over to the corner and told him they was going to run a little game. You know. He probably needed a bust or something. And so, you know, he busted me. Ever since then, I haven't gone back to school, you know, because I had to use a false name. Because, hey, what was my highest grade? 99s, 98s, 97, and my least was an 85.
The same with me. The same. Yeah,
I was pretty strong-willed when I was in school. I was, you know, above average. I was in a college-bound program in that school. I was outspoken. I wasn't given to accept everything that, you know, they gave to me.
You wouldn't like them if somebody turned around and you had a family and they struck at you or they struck at your family.
Well, if I knew I was going to take that, if I knew I was going to take that chance, I wouldn't have a family. I won't get a family.
You're taking the chance right now. You're taking the chance with your own life.
Hey, yo, somebody tried to take my life already. He blew his chance, and I took his life. Now he's sorry.
You only have one life.
And so how did the people in the neighborhood around you regard the Savage Nomads?
Those that knew us, that we had to interact with, they loved us. We used to get up in the mornings, go to their house, drink coffee, eat. They used to bring us food during the day, during the evenings, you know. Those who didn't know us, they saw different people, and, you know, we really didn't care, and we used to do things that would, you know, show them that we didn't care, so they didn't like us, they didn't accept us, you know.
Now I'm cutting out because I ain't cutting out no place. I'm going to court tomorrow. And like I'm going for sentencing, and I don't think I'll be back.
How long do you think you'll be away?
I don't know. But I got a gun charge, man. And like, they wait until the ballistic test come back. to find out, you know, if it has a homicide. If ballistic bring it back and it's hot, and it's gonna go into Supreme. So far, the lawyer kept it down in criminal. Now that's good, you know, for a gun charge. You know how, you know, guns being busted with guns. It's bad nowadays.
But when you went upstate, you told me that you became involved in legal activities there.
Well, you know, I consider myself in a lot of trouble legally. You know what I'm saying?
Benji's a new pack.
Okay. I was, you know, I wanted to assist in my defense. I was assisting in my defense, and I was going to the law library. They would give me cases and citations, and you know, so I got real familiar. And I got, you know, I realized that if I was going to get out of jail, that's what I'd really have to, you know, really get deeply involved in the law.
What is that?
I'm talking. That's lemon juice. You have to put it in water and put sugar to make lemonade. Drink the milk. Anyway. I started giving those courses. You know, I gave the courses in Attica, Comstock, Sing Sing, Green Haven. A couple of different, you know, prisons. Everywhere I used to go, you know, the reputation preceded me. I was real good. And I went right to the law library.
What kind of reputation
As a
for what?
jailhouse lawyer, I used to represent people, a lot of people in jail.
Not as a savage nomad president.
No, not as you know. But everybody knew me. It's a small community. Everybody, oh, that's Benji. Yeah. No, you need this. Go ask Benji.
You know, Benji has a good heart, but he did a few little things every now and then. I met him. He was riding on a motorcycle, and he started this division called Nomads on Wheels, you know, and I was like, wow, you know, and they had boots and they had the savage nomad colors and they were riding on the motorcycles and all this, and he picked me up in high school and on a motorcycle. So I was like, well, I ride on your motorcycle, but I gotta take off my colors. I'm still a turban. Can't be riding on a motorcycle with these colors. See, when I got into the turbans, that I was in junior high school, we used to, like, they had the clubhouse. It was more of hanging out and going down there listening to music and things like that. So it was, you know, and all the guys were like older. They weren't guys that were 13, 14, 15. They were guys that already came out of Vietnam. They were all like ex-soldiers. Chino told me, do you want to start a division for girls? And we had girls already hanging out in the club. So I said, okay, as long as we get a jacket. So he said, sure, you get a jacket. So, you know, I told girls, you want to be turbans? You want to be turbans? It started out like that. Like, we really didn't want to, you know, go into war with anybody because of the colors. But it did at times, it did happen. The Javelins were 2 blocks away from us on Hoe Avenue. And the Javelins, that attitude was, you know, you got a turban, you can't walk down this block. So that's how they took my colors when I went to visit my grandmother. I said, okay, I gave them my jacket, and that was resolved. The presidents went over there and said, give her back her jacket and we're gonna rumble. In a way, it was a political game, but at the same time, if you mess with them, the guns came out. While other gangs at that time still have bats and chains. No, they didn't have no bats and chains. They had 32s, 38s. So we didn't question where they got the guns from, because it was very rare that there was a rumble in the Turbans Club. You know, they weren't into rumbling yet. And they weren't into the jackets. They were into dressing nice and having a lot of buttons and looking more political. You know, than the rest of the guys. I never thought I would be a nomad. I said, oh, these nomads, these savage girls, and the way they look and the way they dress.
Blackie and myself, we went to school together. We went to 52, and we had a relationship from then, from school days throughout the gang days and until now. The Savage Skulls, their club, used to be where this lot, where these guys are standing. Their club used to be right there. I got shot right in there. That's where Blackie had his club. You know, that was first division of the Savage Skulls.
This is where our old clubhouse used to be at. And now is, as you can see, automotive place. We had close to 25 divisions spread out through all the boroughs. It started out as just personal group hanging, just friends hanging out, then it got big. And it was just like a family. But then the police started harassing and made it get out of hand. And so then, within the anger, everybody turned to crime. They were always accused of. Well, if we're gonna get accused of this, well, we're gonna do it anyway. So no matter what we do, whether we do it right or we do it wrong, they're gonna blame us, so we did it anyway. The club got messed up when I got locked up. Everybody that tried to take over the club could not handle it.
But you see, Blackie, it takes a certain charisma. I mean, this guy had hundreds of people, who respected him, who would listen to what he had to say, who would be, in total chaos. But when he walked into the room, it was quiet, and the press is here, and we gotta listen. And it takes something to be able to have that control. I was never officially a Savage Skull. Never. I never wore colors, and I never wore a jacket that said property of or anything. But just the fact that I was Blackie's girl, I was a Savage Skull. You understand? And if they went out and had a fight and somebody got killed, I was part of that too. I did every gang activity you can think of. If there was weapons to be carried, I did it. I was an alcoholic when I was like 14 years old. I'd get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I'd go out there and hustle the quarters in the corner so I can, have my bottle of wine. My son is 16 years old now. When I had him, I was still a little bit, out in the street. Blackie was incarcerated, so I was out here by myself.
Oh, God.
Who's that?
That's me.
That's you?
China was still the China that you see sitting here. I was never into drugs. I was never into going out there and beating up girls just because they're walking down the block and they're walking down my turf and they're wearing colors. But like I said, it was rough because, I did get shot. And that wasn't an easy thing for me to get shot and get a scar on my body, especially from the Dirty Dozen. I went to the Skulls Club and there was a whole thing. They got hit on. They said that they thought I was a guy. They just saw my colors and they thought they saw Savage Nomad, so they shot me. I don't know. I would never wish that now on anybody, to go through things like that. I would never want my son to be in a gang and have to get initiated and have to get kicked and punched and beat up just to be in a gang. Or if he did something wrong, they would do it to you too.
I went to prison, and I tell you, I had to go through this program, a violence program in there. They claimed that delinquency was caused by people, men or women, boys, girls, young people, old people, whoever the criminal element. They lost their bond with society.
You have to look at where these kids come from, why they do the things they do. You just don't, I don't know how I can get my point across, but you just don't get up in the morning and say, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to land up in jail for the rest of my life. I'm going to shoot up drugs. No, I think I'll join a gang. Or maybe I'll just prostitute. Or better yet, I'll be a pimp or I'll be a thief. You don't get up and do it.
Rita, do you remember Tony? Little Tony, he was one of our Roman kings, and then his brother Big Joe, he took over the Savage Nomads once Benji got locked up. Joe comes from a family of 4 brothers and 1 sister. So far, out of all those brothers, only 1 is left. So, okay, all of them have been shot. The sister died of a drug overdose. And see, this whole family here of 4 brothers and 1 sister come from a family where their mother, she was a gang member too. I think that just surviving has to do with your family influence, okay? Because if your mother's in the gang and then you're in the gang and everybody's in the gang and eventually you're out there doing things what you're not supposed to do, they all wind up in jail.
I was living in PR. I was 5 years old. My father had killed himself. Okay, all I had was my grandmother. I didn't know my mother from Adam. One day I'm in school, you know, on the recreational period, and this lady comes up to me, just snatches me out of the yard, and she says, "You're coming with me, I'm your mother." I said, "You're not my mother, you know, my mother's home, you know, I'm talking about my grandmother." Next thing you know, I'm over here in New York. Don't know what's going on here. They put me in a school where I don't even know English, and that was it. About 6 months later, I was out on the streets. I was running away left and right. When I was up to 8 years old, I was already out in the streets. And from there, I just went and did everything on my own.
Tuvo sus problemitas, pero salió bien. Me daba mucho problema cuando era joven porque se descarrió como las ovejas. Cuando tenía como unos 13 años así, comenzó a irse de la casa, a tener mala compañía. Entonces yo me tiraba detrás de él a buscarlo. Cuando yo me cogía coraje le daba duro. Sí, le daba duro, ¿verdad?
Yeah, with a black bat.
Sí,
yeah, I had a black bat right there at the
Ay,
door.
Dios mío, me ponía frenética. A él le pegaron 2 tiros. Sí, a él le dieron 2 tiros, otra ganga.
Sí.
Él precisamente ese día estaba en casa él. Y entonces yo le aconsejé que no se fuera, pero él se tiró y se fue. Y cuando yo vine a saber, él estaba en el hospital. Yo vine a ver qué pasaba, le habían dado 2 tiros. Y mataron dos.
Sí.
Y dieron una señora que ella murió.
Sí.
Y los otros los mataron en el acto. Entonces Felipe fue al hospital, le sacaron una bala. Se le quedó una adentro, pero después la devolvió. Las esperanzas que yo tenía era que él estudiara y que pudiera llegar a ser alguien en el mundo, ¿ves? Sí, y bueno, es lo que todas las madres queremos con los hijos.
Sí.
Because you have to know when to get out of it. You have to know how to also grow. It's not just being in the gang and after your old man gets locked up, you know, you go crazy. That's Ghetto Girls. See, the Ghetto Girls are very political in a way. They did a lot of good things. Cleaning the streets, helping the kids with their homework. You know, they were into all this kind of a hippie thing too. You know, listening to their heavy metal and their Beatle albums and all this.
The original concept of the Ghetto Brothers was really my brothers. Me, Robert, Victor, Raymond. Was purely a brother thing. When I worked with colors, I felt tense. There was fear. There was a lot of frustration. You always have to be watching your back. The yarmulke represents to me peace, no frustration, no anger. I was born in Puerto Rico. My great-grandparents came from Asturias, northern Spain. From my mother's side, they came from Old Castillo. That's an old city. All Jews lived there at that time, from there, Toledo, and all these great cities. And they were both families of Maranos. The word Marano in Spanish is a derogatory word. It means pig. These were Jews who were converted to Catholicism because a lot of them didn't want to leave Spain. They became Catholics in the outside, but in their hearts they remained Jews. In the 16th century, many Marano Jews went into Puerto Rico.
Benji, we met him here in a synagogue in about, I would say in the 1970s. I remember that he just came into the synagogue and he presented himself as a Spanish Jew from Barcelona, and he started to daven, and he came in, and the first thing we know, he came with his tallis over his head, and we called him after the Torah.
Every Shabbat evening, Friday nights, my father would gather all the brothers and sisters together in the living room, and then we would talk about the Bible. Later on, we got to be aware that he was teaching us Torah. And I said, Pa, it's interesting that we go to church on Sunday, and yet, isn't God's holy day on the Sabbath? He said, shh, don't talk about it. Found out as I was getting older that a lot of this fear was passed down because of the Inquisition, was passed down from family to family. But a lot of them remain with their customs about wearing a prayer shawl. My father never had a prayer shawl. He had a blanket, a white blanket, and he wrapped it all around him. And he would go into a little room, and if he didn't have a light on, he'll have a little candle, always with Tanakh in front of him, but mainly reading from the books of Moses.
Because he's Spanish, he can walk out in the street. If they talk to him, he answers them in Spanish, and the sign of his muscles is enough to get him in the community. He has no conflict at all in the community. But in his heart, there is the sign. He has the conflict in his heart. He knows in his heart that he's a Jew, and therefore, this mask that he was wearing outside that get him along in the Spanish neighborhood, he sort of threw off when he got into here.
I had colors, but the guys never knew anything about my religious belief, my religious backgrounds. Benji, even the guys found it peculiar that I've never allowed no members of the gang to wear German swastikas on their uniforms. Why? We're supposed to be an outlaw gang. All of us, we gotta look mean. We had the skulls with the swastikas. We never believed that. They never asked why. Some members were suspicious. Benji's too religious. They used to call me the preacher.
Because there's a lot of clubs that help just their own friends. They forget about other people who live around us, you know? But we don't think like that. We like to help everybody. You know what?
It was a dream that I've always wanted to be accomplished, because I always fantasized of becoming a leader of a great organization. But then I didn't realize that I was the leader of a very gang that caused a lot of destruction, a lot of hurt in people in the community. And as time went on, I started to see myself and say, wait, maybe we can channel all this negative energy into something very positive. We started to change our image from using our hands and hurting people to doing something constructive, like fixing people's cars, fixing people's apartments, painting people's apartments, helping people walking up the block. What's left of the old Ghetto Brother Club is still standing there. When I see that, I get shivers up my spine. Here's where all the major decisions were made during those violent years. We were the type of group that we were internationalized, okay? We believed that there was no boundary. The streets belonged to everybody. Now, the rules that the other gangs was, if you step in a certain community, you have to take off your colors. If you're walking with your colors, you're asking for war. You're not showing respect to this gang's community. When Ghetto Brothers used to do that, we would actually take off our jackets, not to start any rumble. Before we even do that, I'll even talk to the president and let him know the relationship with the Ghetto Brothers is doing in the community. We were one of the only groups that they allow us to walk in their community with our colors on, because they knew we represented peace.
Benjamin, also known in the streets as Black Benji, was ambassador for the Ghetto Brothers. He was beaten to death when he tried to intervene between two other gangs. Instead of retaliating, the Ghetto Brothers convened a peace meeting of all the gangs in the South Bronx at the Boys Club on Hoe Avenue. This event marked a turning point in the history of the gangs as they began to turn away from violence to become a positive force in the community.
Black Benji was the third staff leader in the Ghetto Brothers. His job was to make peace with other clubs, bring in the presidents, the vice presidents, and the warlords to our division, let them know what the platform of the Ghetto Brothers is, what do we stand for, and what is our objectives.
We came down the stairs, right? And we stopped there. And there was about 13 to 20 of us. And then when we looked down, we seen him. That's when Benji came out, and Benji said, he took a step forward and he said, listen, brother, we're here to talk peace. And the guy, he came out and he said, I don't know, he said, piece of shit. And he must have took a jump. It looked like he threw a kick, but he must have took a jump to grab a pipe.
Black Benji at that time was getting beat up right in the very corner. We found out an hour later, after he was taken to the old Lincoln Hospital, that they killed him. Oh, there were 3 gangs involved. You had 70 Mortals, Black Spades, and the Mongols. And as a result of his death, that's where all the gangs met at the Boys Club.
Pressing on the scene.
Advise the Ghetto Brothers.
Warlord of the Ghetto Brothers.
Hey, I would like for the police to leave, or we got nothing to say.
Know when we came to your turf, man, when Black Benji died, man, that's when we came to your turf for Static, man. I'm gonna tell you what's happening now, because all this shit is bullshit, man. You see, because wow, man, we didn't have no Static with you people, man. All we did is ask you people for the colors, man, and you people didn't give us our colors back. When we have Static, man, we settle out among ourselves, man, because wow, we got to live in this district. The whitey don't come down here, man, and live in the fucked up houses, man. The whitey don't come down here, man, and have all the fucked up fucking no heat in the fucking winter time, you understand? We do, Jack. So therefore, wow, we got to make it a better place to live. You understand?
Newspaper people will walk up to, what are you guys gonna do? And here's how the media works, you know? And then he got members of my club and members of other gangs. Benji, what are you gonna do? Are we gonna take revenge for the death of Black Benji? I said, no, we're not. Would you believe that members got angry at me and some even threatened me? I said, to take revenge will make Benji's peace annul. It will mean nothing. We'll make it void.
Even though we had colors, we were a gang, we'd never look for trouble, man. I could understand if they beat up Benji, but killing him is another thing. You took away one of our brother's lives, man. And we were right down at the funeral looking at him, saying, I wish the Immortals, if they were them, to see what it is to take away one of our brother's lives. You don't want us to become a gang again, right? Because I know you, right? Don't I know you? You was up in the meeting and you told me, Benji, I want to get out alive. Didn't you tell me that? Benji didn't get out alive. Benji died. They took away my brother's life, man. The thing is, we're not a gang anymore. We're an organization. We want to help black and Puerto Ricans to live in a better environment.
That's how a lot of gangs got together as a result of the death of a brother who went out to make peace and not war.
Somebody brought it up, as why nobody ever got together. A lot of people fail to realize the police, even though we used to fight against each other, sometimes those fights were caused by the police, because if we ever did band it together, all the clubs in the Bronx, they will have a hard time.
Blackie's got a point there. I've been visited by several times, FBI, police officers. They always say there was something up with the GBs. We were getting too political. The Young Lords were getting involved with the gangs. The Black Panthers were getting involved with the gangs. And I was bringing a lot of this political influence into the Bronx. You remember what?
We are being oppressed by the North American Yankee. We, the Puerto Ricans, should rise up and defend ourselves against these dogs who will oppress us and liberate our country from capitalism and imperialism. The North American is trying to steal our identity as Puerto Ricans and call us Americans. We Puerto Ricans are Puerto Ricans till the day we are born until the day we die.
At that time, we had a lot of influences. We had you, your family. We had the times. This is early 70s. It was a time of change. We had a lot of things coming at us. We wanted to change the social order.
Remember when we first met, Jose Torres and I, the first thing he asked us, he says, so Benji, what do you represent? I said, well, we're the Ghetto Brothers. He said, is that a gang? I said, well, what's a gang? And we're changing ourselves into a political organization. He said, what do you guys believe in? Complete independence from Puerto Rico. He said, what affiliation are you with? I said, well, at that time it was called Movimiento por Independencia.
That's correct.
Juan Maribras. I said, we're connected with Juan Maribras. We like this platform. And I feel that the Ghetto Brothers are going to fashion themselves after them. I met Oscar Colasso. I met Lolita Lebron.
By the way, those are the two of the persons who attacked the Blair House.
And the House of Representatives.
That's right. In 51,
that's right.
1951.
They shackled themselves into the baluster and they just started shooting. Viva Puerto Rico Libre! And all hell broke loose.
A strong woman to me was somebody like Lolita Lebron. Okay, because Lolita Lebron was from the Seven Nationalists, which was a political group that woke up in Puerto Rico. And I found her to be a good role model because here she was a mother, she was struggling, and she wanted her island to become something better. Okay, the children in the island, more education, more centers, more places for the kids. I used to go to Puerto Rico every summer. I stayed with my father, my grandmother, my sister. My sister graduated first from law school. I learned a lot from her and her crew from the college because she went to the University of Law and everybody there was like a nationalist. She was always for the freedom of Puerto Rico. So her thing was that Puerto Rico is an oppressed country because of the white man. Okay, because when they went over there, they bought a lot of farms off and they bought a lot of territory that belonged to the Puerto Ricans. Like we had sugar fields, we don't have them anymore because a lot of people sold their land to the Americans, which built hotels and condominiums, and then these people came to the United States thinking that they were very, very rich, which turned out to be the opposite. Once they got here, they found out the money didn't last long. They winded up in the ghettos, which we call barrio. And then finally at the end, they had to go to public assistance. And my sister got to go to Cuba, and she met Castro. My father was against that. Over there, that's like being a rebel. My father is very Republican. And my sister, she was a nationalist, so he had a fit. In her room, she had a picture of a Che Guevara, and she had another one, Aviso Campo, and you know, all these things. He just hated it. He just said, oh, put the picture somewhere where nobody sees them from the windows.
There was no gang in this country that did more for us as Puerto Ricans and Hispanics than the Young Lords.
My brother and I were thinking about who to become involved with. We decided the Black Panther Party was more for us because of the way they were confronting the issues. But then the Young Lords had a confrontation in the church on 111th Street, and that's when I really became more aware of the Young Lords. I liked a lot of the things that they were about. We were talking about Puerto Rican independence. They were talking about organizing Puerto Ricans here in this country. You know, and a lot of the people that I spoke with, our experiences were similar in terms of racism, in terms of family upbringing, in terms of being in tune with Puerto Rican culture. Let's say if we're down here and I look up and I see this whole line of savage skulls. And it was almost like, you know, one of these movies that I've seen, you know, where they depict the Native Americans on their horses lined up, you know, suddenly, and they're all coming down this hill. And they all start coming down towards where we were. And they're like walking in unison again. And again, here's this feeling that's like, actually, you know, like the reinforcements are here. You know, I was under the impression that this was happening for the first time. You know, but I was to find out later that the Young Lords had a lot of extensive connections with a lot of the different gangs, particularly here in the Bronx.
At that time, the Young Lords were pretty active. They had taken an X-ray truck. We used to watch the X-ray truck with my little switchblade, my little knife.
what we did was that we took the TB truck and parked it in an area where it would be available to the large segment of the community. And the young lords and the gang members, when we did it, we formed a human ring around the TB truck. They were supportive in situations where there was always a strong possibility that the police were going to, quote, vamp on us.
I think it was a great moment of education for Puerto Ricans as a whole here in New York. And I think that we mature unbelievably in those 6 or 7 years that the Young Lords were very active.
A lot of the leadership of these gangs, which were always the ones who were targeted, the leadership, because the feeling was if the leadership was taken out, that the rest of the gang would fall apart. A lot of them wound up in prison, I imagine some of the key people went to prison, some died, some got married, I know you got some gang members that have been married 20 years, the same person, they have kids, they're living as what we call outstanding members of the community. Because to me, they were outstanding members of the community back then. You might be rubbing shoulders walking by a person who was allegedly one of the most vicious leaders of the Savage Skulls, or was the warlord, of a man, they're living somewhere near this area with 3 children, a wife, part of it which is supposed to be classified as the American dream. But they still have the same aspirations,
Did you go to school?
Yeah, I finished high school and I went to college in there.
You went to how long were you in prison?
I did 4 years. I did 2.5, and I did the other one out here, the last one out here.
What were you studying?
Recreation, physical education.
I've known a number of people who were rehabilitated inside the prison system.
Really? That's extraordinary. I remember one of the survivors of the Attica massacre on WBAI one night saying, how the hell are we going to be rehabilitated when we ain't never been habilitated in the first place? And that's the difficulty. Psychiatrists say that if you're going to rehabilitate somebody, you got to get them when they're still in the crib that early. And you know that most of the kids we're talking about certainly don't have access to that kind of medical consultation. I'm melancholy about the prospects for most of the kids. It frightens me. The case that you just cited, of course, I think is extraordinary. And probably very worthwhile. Work like the devil to salvage 1 or 2.
Once in a while, I go back to the past and want to go out there and keep on banging heads.
Serious?
Yeah. So that's my problem right now, at this very point, right now. I'm hanging out too much. I'm starting to, I see a lot of the brothers are reuniting over here on Mount Eaton.
Right.
A lot of old Savage Nomans that I know.
Right.
And maybe I get a flashback. I don't know what it is. I just want to go out there and hang out.
He gets them flashbacks, it became a lifestyle. To us, it became a lifestyle, the way we was living with the clubs, and hanging out with the fellas. It became a lifestyle that a lot of people don't really understand. That's why sometimes, just like him, sometimes I just feel like going out there, forget about working and keep hanging out. You know what I'm saying? But then again, I got kids, I got a responsibility, and that, it holds me back. But if there was none of that, man, a lot of us would be out there, doing the same thing, because the way this system is doing for us, we're not getting nowhere. We was doing better when we was hanging out than we're doing now. Just because I was a gang member, and that I would like to, help the kids in the community. Everywhere I went to seek help, after 1 year, I had this little league team. It worked out so good that the next year, all the parents were coming up to me. Yo, what are you gonna do for next year? I went seeking help to see, nobody wanted to do anything with me. Simply because, he's an ex-gang member. Even to this day, a lot of people come to me, Black, what do you want to do? I say, there's nothing I can do right now. There's a lot of centers being closed, and the kids are all hitting the streets. There's a lot of kids out there with problems, nobody doing anything. they don't want to help them out. But yet, when they do something bad, they do something negative, they want to criticize them and down them all the way. Why not, reach out and, try to give them a helping hand? Right now here in the site outside, you're missing 2 buildings, which was the city completely tore down because, they felt it was easier. So now what they're doing, instead of tearing them down, they're rebuilding them. I got the kids helping me to load up the old beams so they can get cleared out so the workers can have room to work. So being that they got, they're not doing anything but just hanging out, so I bring them to help me out, and they make some money too. My children, my nephews, keep them away from the streets, too much hanging out, and get them used to working.
I have in Puerto Rico 5 brothers and sisters from one wife, and my father has 6 from another. And all my sisters and brothers have 1 child. Because they came from a family of 6, and many times they didn't get the clothes they wanted. He wants a brother and sister. I said, oh God. So, and I said, you have a brother and sister, you can't be asking me for $60 sneakers and Bugle Boy pants and things like that. But I give him everything that he wants because he goes to school and he likes his science class, his math class. He brings me back his grades that are good. I put him through Catholic school where I paid his Catholic school. Okay, now he's going to apply for special high school that he wants to go to for animal science. But I went to dental school and I was studying dentistry. I guess some counselor. I don't know, these counselors, they try to push these courses on you. I guess that they want more people in. And I was like, dentistry? That was really never me, to be there all day looking at, helping the dentist and not saying a word because you really can't talk when the dentist is working. It was strange. I was the only Puerto Rican in the whole class. But, and then there was another girl that she was Puerto Rican, but she didn't say she was Spaniard. She said, I'm from Spain. And I would say, what part of Spain? I was like, she ain't from Spain, but I guess she felt funny. She said, she felt funny around whites, so she said she was Spaniard. She wouldn't say she was Puerto Rican. So I never had that complex, so I got along fine with everybody and graduated from that program and worked and was bored to death. I said, nah. I want to talk to kids. I want to work with young people or teach or do something, that has to do with my past. And I thought about, I would like to work in Spofford since it's a juvenile correctional facility. And so I went to Manhattan Community College, took up mental health, then went to Lehman, took up social work. I live in this community. I live right across the street from Castilla Maria. I feel very close to the children and the adults that come here. Casita Maria stands for a house, so this is more like a family, okay? We try to make it like a family community center.
People laugh sometimes when you tell them, all I needed was somebody to care. And they're like, yeah, somebody to care. How many times I told you I love you? That's not the type of caring that you're looking for. Our parents, I know his mother and my mother, because my mother was a single parent too, and it was hard for them to deal with us. I had a hard time trying to deal with my kids. It's just that because I went through these hard knocks, I've learned and I've promised myself that I would not do this with my children. Although, if one of my children decides to join a gang, I can understand why. I won't be happy about it and I try to talk him out of it, but I can understand why.
Everybody believes that the gangs are all gone. They're not all gone. It's just before it was gangs, cliques, whatever you want to consider us at that time. Now they're posses. Before we used to have our own lifestyle, our own dress style, and our own code. Now they go out there and they dress real nice. They get these expensive coats. If they can't get it, they'll go take it off somebody else.
What they do now is that they rip you off for your goose. That's it, just the jackets,
yeah,
right?
You got like a nice trench or something, if it's brand new, they'll just take it.
You just take your trench. One time they were gonna try to take $1 or some money off of him and he told me, I had a bat. I go down with a bat. What you asking my son for $1? What, you gonna hit my son? You're Simpson, he's from here too, and he's been here too, and I've been here. And so, you can't be nice with them. Why they didn't do nothing? Because Nolly China went down with a bat, and I said, let me tell you something, I've been in jail before, so if you fuck with my son, I'm gonna break your face with this bat. Your mother, your grandmother, the whole family. And I got nasty with them, and they were like, oh my God.
If they have problems with another posse, they could go over there, they could take TOD over there and then fight them.
When you're done with TOD, you get a spray can, and you tag up and all this, and you get fame with people, because you write your names on the wall a lot of times, and a lot of people see them, they'll know, like when it's TOD, they'll know from where we coming from.
Right here, this is the list here, the crew going down, it's on the sides, everywhere.
The Mighty Bronx.
This is a hangout. This is a place with all the drugs.
Why did you form a posse to begin with?
Yeah, we got tired of all this stuff, pushing us around, so we just said...
So we just made a posse, we just gathered around.
Well, in order to get in it, you gotta get beat up. And then, after that, then you be down.
Instead of taking it out and fighting, you do it by games, by having, well, yo, man, we meet you in the handball court or in the basketball court or we'll do this. That's how you do it, man. Because you don't know what's out there. They might come over here, you might end up in the hospital. Or you might do something to one of them and then what? You're gonna end up in jail doing what?
Time. Well, I think now it's worse because they'll go upstairs and get their guns. And you could even end up, in a funeral home.
What kind of guns you talking about?
Like automatic,
35,
shotguns,
25,
double barrels.
If a guy, he got new sneakers, and you step on him right away, he want to kill you.
Yeah.
See, what you got here is two different posses, just, 2 blocks away. Now, if we can get these 2 groups together, then what's to say that we can get the other groups together? Maybe, if we show the other blocks and everybody else that we're doing something about it, and if you want to participate, you got to bury the hatchet. We got to show them that we're here to do something for ourselves, not kill each other off.
These were very bright young people who, if born into other families, could have been senators, congressmen, and community leaders. Instead, that energy was taken into the streets. When I went back to the Bronx, it was so wonderful to see my old friends and to see their personal achievements, despite the difficulties of youthful lives within poverty and violence and limited opportunities to achieve educational potential and work that is satisfying. It doesn't feel like the end of life as long as people have begun to empower themselves. I see attitudes of empowerment, and I know things have changed.
Ex-gang members that have run into. It's very interesting, but most of when I talk to them, they're either social workers, they either work in a drug rehabilitation program, they either work in a school, or they either work in counseling. I think about basically they're still within the community as social workers.
I'm doing my internship now at Bronx Lebanon, and I'm working with people with AIDS. Sometimes we look at our life and say, gee, I've lived a rotten life, or I've been dealt, a raw deal. But maybe it was given to me so that I can give something back, so that I can be somebody in this world that will be able to deal with those, who are either going through or have been through what I've been through. If it goes and people get into a majority and they go in masses, it will be changed, because anything, you can change anything you want if you want it bad enough. 2, 4, 6, 8, we the parents will not wait.
Y dice él que la prensa puede entrar hasta el primer piso y nada más porque el meeting va a ser privado.
We came here to see the Chancellor, who did not see us. He in turn sent us a representative from his office. Hernandez, as I heard, while we were upstairs, it was a group of 6. While we were upstairs talking to the representative, he sneaked out the side door. So that goes to show you how our Latin representatives deal with their Latin constituents.
Ever since we broke up the TOD, like last time y'all were here, we were down with TOD. Since we broke up, it's been hard for us. Like, people look trouble for us. And since we don't have no more TOD, well, we can't find nobody to help us or to watch our backs. It broke up because a lot of problems used to go to the press of the TOD. That's Big Blue. So slowly by slowly, he was dropping people because there's too many problems out in the street and he don't want none of us to get hurt. The summer, you could stay out late and your friends be out there and they could, if anything, protect you. But if you're outside, on your own in the winter, somebody could come, rob you, beat you up, or even stick you up, put a gun to your head nowadays, Little kids with guns and, like having wars against other people, killing each other.
In memory of Black Benji, for the things that the young brother did, it would be nice, man, if somebody out there, if we can just get together and get a building, put all the energies of guys like...
Put all ex-gang members.
Right.
And we can have those kids out in the community. Maybe we can get them back into school, get the education that we didn't get, and have them, man, do better than what we're doing.
We can show the kids, we are like flashlights. We show you the way. Don't go to that side, brother. This is the way. We've been there before. We're preparing you for a better future. You don't need to go back there. You don't need to hire teachers from California. You don't need to hire teachers from way out yonder. You got them right here.
I want people to say the Ghetto Brothers has done something. I want my child to say when he grows up, well, my father's done something for society. See? And I want things to change, man, because I don't want to be living in the South Bronx where everything is messed up. I don't want my son to be walking in glass streets. I don't want him to live in a building that's all messed up in the ghettos. I want him to live in a good environment.